to the Gruber Morning Show. I'm Pete Gruber.
I'm Mark Schaffner. Good morning. Welcome, everyone.
And I thought a fun thing to start with this morning, well, actually two things. If you notice, we've got Gruber Motor Company behind us on that background. It's an AI-generated image. And we're finding that AI programs now tend to reliably insert anything in quotes that you want on the image.
Very interesting. Dolly, not Wally.
Yeah, Dolly. We have a Wally that works here.
Yes, Dolly is getting better then at putting actual readable text out there.
It is. The other thing that we thought we would lead with was, did you know that only 18% of the American population know how to drive a standard vehicle these days?
That's crazy.
Yeah. And just before the show opened, we asked the studio people here who drives one, and we were shocked that one of them doesn't. So I thought maybe we'd start there. Aaron, you've never driven a standard vehicle?
I'm ashamed.
Let's get a camera on his shame.
Your camera's not on. Can you press the button on it?
So Aaron is the one I would have expected of the younger crowd.
Pickup truck driver, yeah, all of that.
Yeah,
right?
you got that Super Duty F-250 and everything, and Aaron, you're not driving one.
Yeah, no one would ever teach me. So, like I said before the show, my dad's had multiple shoulder surgery, so he never wanted to get another stick. And by the time I was eligible to drive, we had all automatics, and then my buddies had sticks, but they had performance Fast and Furious type racing cars and would never teach me on their vehicles. So after a while, I just continued driving automatic and gave up on ever learning how to drive a manual.
That's amazing.
Man. And then Cass now, she can drive a stick, right, Cass?
Yeah, I can. I actually was learning through a buddy because he's got a stick shift car. As you guys know, my favorite car is a Mazda Miata, but I like the 1990 line, and they're only offered in manual, like stick shifts. So I was learning how to drive it so that I could, when I buy one, be able to drive my own car. Now I ride a motorcycle, so I know the gears that way too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I guess maybe I'm really old school. For my first driving experience was driving the garden tractor, and it would be plowing snow, plow out the driveway, or driving a lawnmower. And these are older style that you have the stick and you have the clutch, and you had to learn.
Yeah. And if you had a weak clutch, the people you were training generally could burn out your clutch. I remember that as well. I had a 63 Ford Falcon, and learning on that car, I burned out the clutch.
Oh, sure.
When I got a 69 Roadrunner, actually, the clutch was getting weak on that too. Too many spirited takeoffs at the red light. And I decided to put in a heavy-duty clutch. A heavy-duty clutch is one that you really have to push hard to depress, but it's going to give you, some extra, boost. And playing soccer, I broke my left knee.
Uh-oh.
So I couldn't drive my car for about 6 months or so because I could not exert enough pressure on that clutch pedal
to actually push the clutch down.
Yeah. If I'd had if I had an automatic transmission car, which the 68 Charger was, I wouldn't have had that problem.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So Toyota claims that it's going to double the range of electric vehicles in less than 3 years. And the headline goes, the automotive juggernaut unveiled new battery tech and a new battery-powered vehicle plan.
As we were reading through this, I saw that Toyota's, we've talked a little bit in the past about Toyota announcing its solid state batteries with 900 miles of range. I'm excited if that can actually come into the play. Toyota first announced their solid state battery back in 2014 for a 2020 release, though. It's 2024. It still hasn't been released yet.
Right. Been a while. So, but this is remarkable because you remember they were the holdouts. They were still convinced that hybrids are the way to go. And I'm glad that they're finally making this commitment. They are, of course, the maker of the largest hybrid vehicle, the Prius. And they say they're going to join the fight for the EV market.
I'm glad to see that. Toyota is known by reputation for building a really quality vehicle. And about range, let me tell you, my vacation, my son and I each have Model S's. His is a 2012. It has a 85 kilowatt battery. I have a slightly newer 2017 with a 100 kilowatt battery. His range 230 miles, my range 310. It was amazing how much difference that range makes. We both stopped at the same places for charging, but for him, he would have to be 45 minutes to an hour to charge because he had to go from 20 to 100% to make it to the next station.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I could go about 15 minutes or so because I was at 35 to 40% to start with, and I only had to go to about 80% to get enough mileage to go to the next station.
Gotcha.
The battery doesn't really heat up until you get above 80%, and that's where the really slow charging takes place. So we would let him take off. We would get there 10 or 15 minutes after him. We would be charged and ready to go, and he wasn't ready yet.
Yeah. Well, Toyota is making some wild claims regarding their range. They say that they will soon crank out EVs capable of going over 600 miles on one charge by 2026. And then they're going, which is, of course, double the average range for new EVs currently hitting the road. But they say by 2028, the company aims to go 900 miles.
I could see that, and I could see that being important for the reasons like I just mentioned. It's not so much that somebody wants to drive 900 miles, but if somebody wants to practically go 450 or 500 miles and still have 40% of their battery left, stop in, do a quick pit stop at the rest area or at the recharging station. By the time they're back, maybe they're up to 700 miles of range again.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't take that long to do that.
Yeah. What they're also announcing in this particular article is a new suite of technologies that are designed to help the company fully join the fight for the EV market, including AI-assisted aerodynamic design, gigacasting type manufacturing, and most crucially, the next generation of EV batteries.
I'm very interested to see how their next gen EV battery does. It's supposed to be solid state. I'm hoping for the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I are still in the same club where we say, hey, if you get a solid state battery that can do 900 miles on however many kilowatts it has, we're more likely to go to a smaller battery and keep in that 500 mile sweet spot. And then it's less expensive for the consumers. It's still quick to charge and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. So another headline here, Ferrari's first electric car to cost over $500,000, well above many rival EVs. Well, I would expect nothing else from Ferrari.
Well, it's
Nothing
Ferrari.
else. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they are the arrogant snob of the car world.
We'll give you a little bit more data why he said that. The first electric car, they say, is going to be $535,000. And this is from a source familiar with the matter. They're also preparing to open a plant that will make this model. And it could boost group production by up to a third. There's some statistics here as to how many cars they're generating these days. Here we go. So this new factory, or this e-building as they call it, is a bold move for a company. It is also in Maranello, Italy, which is on the northern side of Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And currently Ferrari is delivering 14,000 cars per year. This was last year's stat. And with this additional plant and the push into EVs, it is going to increase their annual production to 20,000, this particular source said. So what's going to be interesting to see how this evolves. They are confident that the ultra-wealthy drivers are ready for it. Most of the guys that I know that are ultra-wealthy Ferrari owners
Mm-hmm.
haven't quite warmed up to EVs in the same way that they did to their, performance V12, exotic Italian sports cars. Sure, the family most likely has some Teslas in their list of vehicles, and that's
Right.
typically what the kids and maybe the wife drives, that type of thing. But the guys that I know that like spirited driving, it's going to be a stretch to get them to accept a EV sports car. that's valued at $500,000.
Well, yeah. I mean, these guys have enough money that they could go get themselves a Rimac or one of these other high-end electric sports cars, and they're not.
And Mark, proven and tested. Let's insert that somewhere.
Yes.
Because Ferrari's new to this. You know, I mean, when you take a look at the LaFerrari hybrid, there's some issues there. Take a look at the McLaren P1. You know, there's some issues there.
Right.
My take on it is that the guys that are used to building exquisitely engineered ICE-type vehicles do not have the same set of skills that can immediately transition into making high-end EVs like that.
Well, I think you make a great point there. And I realize Ferrari is going to lean on their brand name in order to do this. They kind of lean on their reputation. I don't know. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have that other flaw, which is, well, the logical thing to do would be if you don't have the skills internally yet, outsource. Well, remember Fisker outsourcing?
Yeah, I do.
Those relationships oftentimes aren't the ideal solution. So it's going to be interesting to see how it evolves.
It will be interesting to see how it evolves. Well, you know, we'll see how it goes. They do have that reputation of exclusivity, and maybe they can play on that reputation to move forward. But we'll see. Do you want to give some of the names that are of people that are banned from Ferrari?
Yeah,
when it comes to being arrogant.
Yeah, we talked about this this automaker's arrogance, and they pointed out in social media, well, you know, Ferrari's not the only one that is banning people. Remember, Bugatti has banned Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Because he complained that his girlfriend had a difficult time getting out of the passenger, seat. And then you have Tesla, which is also banning certain people because they're selling their Cybertruck too early.
Right. You know what? At least with Tesla, when you sign the dotted line to get your Cybertruck, it says right in the contract, if you sell it in less than a year, you're going to be banned. You're going to be blacklisted.
So the 10 most popular people or well-known people that are banned from buying Ferraris. And by the way, I have to plug AI at this point. Love the program, love the concept. I saw this long article with images and all kinds of references that was talking about these 10 people. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't cataloged very easily, and I knew I was going to have to read that in order to bring it to the show. And I thought, I really don't have that 20 minutes or so to go through this article and pull everything out because I'm already time constrained. So I said, I wonder if ChatGPT-4 can do this for me. I gave it a very simple prompt. I said, extract the 10 people that are blacklisted and put them into a bullet-style list. Within a second and a half, I had my list.
Very nice.
Sifted through all of that. Here they are in order. Floyd Mayweather Jr. And you read some of the reasons.
I read
for this.
some of this. You know, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a guy who loves his luxury cars and loves to sell his luxury cars. Mm-hmm. So he was caught buying a Ferrari new and then selling it a couple months later. And Ferrari said, no, if you buy one of our cars, you have to own it for at least a year. You're blacklisted.
Is there any other industry that we're aware of that does this? When you buy your refrigerator and you sell it a week later, does anybody care?
No.
You know, are they going to blacklist you from buying? But anyway, it's just amazing to me they get away with this. Kim Kardashian, what was her problem?
Her problem was that she was given a gift of a Ferrari from some Chinese guy. Mm-hmm. And the Chinese guy was later convicted of financial fraud. So they not only did they ban him, but for good measure, they banned her too.
Right. Justin Bieber. The story that I read was he got a little drunk one night. And because of the association of the drunk driving and the Ferrari, he's now banned from ever buying one again. And,
yes.
You know, the thing that fascinates me, the level of arrogance extends way beyond that. How many people are going to buy a high-end Ferrari anyway? I mean, there has to be a fairly small number of people that would do that.
Right.
So why would you begin to trim your potential customers for, these kinds of reasons?
I personally, my unqualified opinion, they're playing on the arrogance of the people in that community. If Justin Bieber can't buy one, but mm-hmm. Britney Spears can, then Britney Spears might go and buy one just to spite Justin Bieber.
Good point. All right, Nicolas Cage. All right, well-known actor, right? Well, he was making lots of money at one point in his life, and he had a number of Ferraris apparently, or
Yes.
exotic cars. And then he hit on some hard times. You know, they don't go into detail why, but all right, he hit on hard times. Well, because he became destitute, they then figured that was the wrong image for a Ferrari. So he's now blacklisted, even though he's back on top of his game.
Yeah, back on top of his game, but apparently one or more of his Ferraris ended up getting sold at auction to help satisfy some of his debts,
Uh-huh.
and that was it. They're like, no, we're not going to associate with you anymore.
Well, we got some other ones. 50 Cent, for example.
Yeah, and I don't remember the stories behind all these, but you've got 50 Cent, you've got Tyga, who's another rapper. They either do things to the cars, like customizations to the cars that Ferrari didn't like, or they have reputation problems similar to what Justin Bieber has. Or it seems like in some cases it's Ferrari's like, we really don't like who you are, so we're gonna blacklist you.
You know, it'd be interesting too is when you go to a Ferrari dealership and you buy a Ferrari, which actually I did in 1987, I think it was. None of this stuff existed. I mean, if I wanted to paint my Ferrari, some other color, no one was going to complain about that back then. But it just seems to me that there's something wrong with this because you have given them $500,000 or whatever you've paid for the car. Is there a contract that you end up signing that you're going to use it in a particular way?
No.
Or is this after the fact, that they come down on you like a ton of bricks?
Like Black China, okay? She's an Instagram influencer.
Yeah.
She bought 2 Ferraris, and she dressed herself to color coordinate with the 2 Ferraris that she bought and took pictures and posted them on Instagram. Ferrari didn't like the look, so they went to her and said, no, you're never going to buy a Ferrari again. We blacklisted you.
So maybe had it been a different color or a different style, they would have agreed.
I don't know. Preston Hen, I think, was the one that took his Ferrari and gave it kind of a video game style wrap, and then put a custom plate on it that said Ferrari.
Okay.
On the license plate.
Right.
He didn't rebadge it or anything, didn't customize it that way. But they gave him a cease and desist order, made him take off the custom wrap, change out the license plate. Oh, and they blacklisted him.
Amazing. All right. So there you have it, folks. It's probably not a problem that, most of us are going to have. But we've got a question here. YouTube, Nolver53 joined us. He says, good morning. I miss getting up early for the podcasts. Getting off work at 4 a.m. is exhausting. I can imagine. Everyone at Gruber Motors, have a blessed day. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Glad to see you back, Nolver.
Yeah. All right. So we've got a promo image here, Jesse, that we can pop up. New Tesla vehicles. Some secretive stuff going on here. And apparently this was posted last week. They have 3 vehicles under sheets. And there's a lot of speculation now what those are. No one really knows what's hiding beneath the sheets, but there are a lot of rumors circulating in social media. Where else?
Oh, yes.
But the rumor is that Tesla is going to go for more affordable vehicles, in addition to an electric van.
Well, and I wonder if that's the one that's on the lower left by where you're sitting, is some sort of electric van or SUV.
Yeah, it looks taller. You're right.
It does look a little bit taller. It would be a completely new market segment for Tesla if they did that.
One more quick image, Jesse. It's called Kluge. And this one was reminiscent of Rafael de Mestre, who has gone around the world with a Tesla Roadster, and he's on his second leg of that. And he said that he was able to find electricity in the most remote places. What he would do is he was driving along, he would look for high-tension power lines, and he knew wherever that thing terminated, there was electricity there for him to use to recharge his car. So when I saw this, I thought, I'll bet he's done stuff like this. What we have here is some wooden sticks and a cut-off end, most likely either intentional or maybe somebody ran over the charge cable with a lawnmower. But if you're able to strip back to the conductors and jam that into the socket, wood is non-conductive, this actually works. That's the irony of this.
That is the irony of it. And in fact, the comment on the picture does say when you mow over your cord end, but you still have to charge your car.
Right.
So it did. It got caught in a lawnmower. It seems ironic, but you're right. It works.
We're not recommending this method.
No, it is not a recommendation on
not
our
at all.
part, but we. Yeah. So another picture here, Jesse. Tesla cars registered, and this just hit the newswire this morning. Apparently, Sawyer Merritt gets a lot of this information, and he was on Twitter this morning. And the news here is 17,500 Teslas were insured. He meant registered, I believe, in China last week. It's the best week of 2024
It's the best week they've had in China ever.
ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're increasing significantly.
You know, I heard not long ago that China, Tesla's done remarkably well in China this year, and in fact was either on the verge or had retaken over the EV sales and production lead from BYD. This would seem to support that fact.
Yeah. And what's amazing is the rest of the world, Tesla and the others seem to be losing market share to the Chinese onslaught. Australia's complaining bitterly. They're all talking about tariffs.
Yeah.
The Germans are concerned because the German auto industry could be decimated by cheap Chinese imports flooding the market, supported by the communist regime,
You know, and yet with all that, while you were gone, Victor and I went through a list of like 14 manufacturers of EVs.
Right.
And most of those manufacturers, there were only a couple of notable exceptions. Tesla was one of them. Have seen double and sometimes triple digit growth this year.
Really?
The market, they say the market's slowing down, but the growth numbers don't really signify
Support
that.
Yeah.
The one that I thought was most significant or most startling was Audi. Sales is down 16% this year in Audi, but EV sales is up almost 25%.
Interesting.
And so it's their ICE engine vehicle sales that are way down this year. Their EV division's actually carrying the company.
Sure. Well, we just got back from Europe, 2-3 weeks ago or so. And I was amazed at the number of electric vehicles there. Germany and Austria primarily.
Interesting. Wow.
What was also funny was the majority of the Teslas were white, and that was probably because Grünheit, or the Giga Berlin, wasn't able to paint colors for a while due to some regulatory restriction. And so the majority of the Teslas were white. But what was amazing was they were omnipresent. You saw plenty of them out on the roads.
That's it. It's what a change, and how quickly that change has taken place over in Europe.
Now, what we don't know from that picture that we had up here a minute ago is these were all in a gigantic parking lot. It looked like literally acres and acres of cars. Are these destined to be shipped into other countries, or are these going to be consumed in China?
I guess it depends on whether or not it's, is it truly registrations and possibly insurance in China? I don't know.
Yeah.
That one I don't know.
So that's breaking news this morning, folks. This will, I'm sure, evolve into more information being made available. Another breaking news item this morning was, again, Sawyer Merritt. He's on top of this stuff on Twitter. Oh, X. It's not
On
called
X,
Twitter anymore.
yes.
Says Tesla has issued a voluntary recall for the 2024 Cybertruck vehicles manufactured from November 13th through June of 2024 to replace the windshield wiper motor with a wiper motor that has a properly functioning gate driver component.
My understanding is that the motor is underpowered, or the gate for it is underpowered. And when it's running in rain and wind and stuff, that the motor is it's burning up.
Okay.
So Tesla says they haven't had any accidents, they haven't had any incidents, but since this is a now unknown issue, they're going to go ahead and bring the Cybertrucks in, get it fixed with a heavier duty motor and an assembly. But my thought is, dude, this is what wind tunnel testing is all about.
Right.
Did they not wind tunnel test this 4-foot long sail that's sitting on your windshield?
Yeah, you have to wonder, or was the overwhelming hurry to get the product to market, where some corners cut?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. We also heard something about Fisker. Just this last week. Last week, you remember, we were talking about they're in bankruptcy, and we were speculating whether it would stay Chapter 11 or convert over to a liquidation. On Friday, Fisker's attorneys were telling the bankruptcy court that they had a company in New York that wanted to buy all of the unsold Fisker vehicles. That company leases vehicles to Uber and Lyft drivers. And then after they get the proceeds from that, they won't have enough assets to continue on. And so they plan on just converting to a Chapter 7 bankruptcy and liquidating the company. That's causing some real angst amongst the creditors, because one creditor, when Fisker didn't file all their financial reports on time last November, pulled the loan. And in so doing, took over ownership of most of Fisker's assets. Now that Fisker's in bankruptcy, you have one creditor that's getting the lion's share of the money from Fisker, and legally it looks like they're going to be able to do it. And you've got the other creditors, because they've got 800 million plus in loans and less than 500 million in assets. You've got a lot of the other creditors crying foul.
And of course, it sounds like a mismanagement of their, financial structure, and that's just going to reinforce the current feelings that the existing management team there was inept and wasn't following through properly.
I really feel for those Fisker owners, though.
Yeah,
because as of right now, they've got unsellable vehicles pretty much.
Yeah.
These vehicles have problems. There's nobody out there to fix them unless they can find some sort of third-party service somewhere. And eventually, if these vehicles enter some sort of like a brick condition or some other condition that renders the vehicle undrivable, they'll have a 3-ton paperweight.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
What's the difference between Chapter 7 and Chapter 11?
Good question. Chapter 11 bankruptcy, these refer to different sections of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code. Chapter 11 of the Bankruptcy Code outlines the steps that a company needs to take to reorganize its assets and debts, working with creditors with the idea that they expect at some point in the future to come out of bankruptcy and continue as a going concern for a company. Chapter 7 of the Bankruptcy Code is simply a company going to the bankruptcy court and saying, hey, we don't have enough assets to take care of our debt, and we do not believe we're going to be able to continue as a business, so these are the rules that we're going to have to follow to liquidate the business and distribute money as whatever's left.
So Chapter 7 is like a death sentence then. It's pretty much the company's done. Where Chapter 11, you have a chance to maybe work your way out of it.
Exactly.
You can reemerge with 11, but with 7, it's liquidation time. There were people on social media that were saying, oh my God, I can buy 10,000 shares of Fisker for $500. Why not? Well, the answer is when it goes Chapter 7, poof, you're delisted. That happened to me with GM years ago. I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, I can buy GM stock for a couple bucks a share, right? And if they reemerge, it's like gambling. Well, one day I wake up and I have no more GM stock. It was gone.
It was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. For GM, the old business entity, as part of their Chapter 11, the old business entity disappeared. They keep your money. They sell their stock for a new business entity. If you want to buy in, you're welcome to.
They keep your money. I'm
but
glad
they
you
keep
offered
your
that.
money.
EV Smoke ATX is chiming in. He says, glad you followed us back on our EvRacing page. Here we have big things to come and show in drag racing. Just waiting for the Roadster 2.0 to hit as well. Can you imagine a 2.0 Roadster with rocket thrusters at a drag race?
Oh, that would be incredible.
I think they would probably have to shut those things down at that point or alter how that's done.
Well, which is going to win? A funny car or a 2.0 Roadster?
Yeah, good point.
So thank you for joining us, EV Smoke ATX.
Yep. All right. It looks like we're coming to the end of our podcast here. Do we have any other news items? All right, we're pretty much wrapping up then. We really appreciate all of you joining us. In the notes, these are posted on YouTube, of course. If there's anything you'd like us to dive into, explore, re-explain, whatever it is, feel free to do so. And as always, smash that like button. It helps us continue to fund what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys in a half hour at the Roadster Roundtable podcast.
Thank you for joining us.